Yeah, we gotta rise up, rise up. Yo, go for broke, give everything, better yet give your all. They don't wanna see you win, nevertheless you'll evolve. Wanna see my demise, you can be in for a surprise. Cause the sun ain't about to set, no, it's about to rise. Come hell or high water, we gotta rise up. All right, what's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you to this week's episode of the Stage is Mine podcast, presented to you by EE.TV. I'm your host, Terran Till. This week, I'm bringing to the platform pastor and music minister, David Lamus. David, how you doing, man?
I am blessed, man. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. We'll start it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, yeah, man, I was born and raised in Colombia, in South America. Came here when I was 12 with missionary parents, which is funny, right? The U.S. is kind of the country that sends missionaries out, and this time we were actually the missionaries coming in. So it was, it was kind of raised, in a Christian home and the whole thing. Yeah, now I'm happily married. I got 2 little baby boys. I think last time you and I spoke, I did not have any kids yet. So yeah, man, I got 2 kids now, and yeah, man, I'm just happy to serve people and happy to be doing music and theology and just all of it, man. I love the church world. Yeah.
Now, what was life like growing up in Colombia?
It was crazy, man. I got to experience God differently there. I'll give you a little story, which is really cool. I remember I was just a little kid, and there was absolutely no food at home. I remember I was in the living room. My mom comes out and she has like a sack of rice. And then she comes to my dad and says, like, this is all we got. And he, instead of like going out like to work or like, go find food somehow, he goes in his office, grabs a guitar and starts like singing songs, bro, like worshiping, like singing songs to God. And then like 20 minutes go by and then he's still there, just like passionately singing and like praying, and like the whole house can hear him, which is crazy. And then my mom's upset. My 2 sisters are upstairs. I'm just a little boy, so I had like the car with me, or so I was just playing like. And then all of a sudden, someone knocks on the door, and it's like, okay. So my mom goes and like, hey, so I was in a grocery store and God put in my heart to bring you these groceries. Like, boom. It's like, whoa, like what in the world? And like 5 minutes pass, literally 5 minutes. Someone else knocks on the door. It's like, hey, God put in my heart to bring you, 100,000 pesos, which is equivalent to about $100. So, and then my dad comes out and he was like, you know what? I think God took care of it. And then it was crazy. So there was a lot of need, but at the same time, there was a lot of like miracles and supernatural things that happened. Colombia is a beautiful country. It's exotic. It's got a bunch of, like just beautiful things about it. The beaches, everything. But unfortunately, the country is so corrupt and so, politics are so twisted that the people who do suffer is, or the ones that do suffer are the people. So, but being in need like that makes you rely on God more and makes you like, that's how you're able to experience like supernatural things, man. So like that was one of them. So Colombia, when I think of Colombia, man, I think of a beautiful country, but I also think of a place where I got to experience God in a different way. Okay. Because here, bro, you get a good job, you can make good money, you don't need God. That's the truth. If people got money, they feel like they don't need anything. So when you're in need, that's when you're like, okay, I think I need God. So unfortunately, people here, like their marriages are breaking up, the family system is broken, and they don't realize that there is the need for God. So they go to the bottle, they go to to the pipe. They go anywhere, but they don't
Mhm.
necessarily. So that's why like my music and like my message and everything is like fully like look, I've been at a place where we're hungry and God was the sole provider of what we ate.
Mm.
Or I've been at the place like I was here in the US. I wanted to do school for music and theology in Atlanta, Georgia. And I didn't have the money for like even my first semester. I had $500 saved up because I had a job. I was making $10 an hour, which is nothing, you know. I had a job, and then I was like, you know what, God, if this is your will, you invite, you pay. That's kind of, I remember I used to say it out loud. If God invites, he pays. So I think you may have heard the story before. When we did the with the other channel, we I literally just prayed to God and let him do his thing, and then someone just showed up at church, and he was like, "Here, Dave, I have a check for you." It was crazy because I had 500. School was 2,000 for my first semester, and I opened the check up, and to my surprise, it was $1,500. Now,
Wow.
who goes around giving $1,500 to people? No one, right? So like, it was just really cool because when you start kind of walking in God's path, I feel like doors open up. Like you don't have to go around. You do have to knock on doors, but like the time comes where God opens the doors, and the ones that he closes, you just know you're not supposed to push through them. You know, like, hey, he closed the door, I'm just gonna move forward. So when you walk in God's path, doors just open up, and I kind of got to, I got to experience that, and
Yeah.
and that's where my message comes from.
That's amazing, man. Now let me ask you, as far as between your time in Colombia to going to college, how did you get to America? And then also, a lot of people have a story of, things that they were into, prior to their, quote unquote road to Damascus experience. So, what was yours? Like was there some things in your life that kind of, even though you were raised in a Christian home, were you still kind of getting into trouble
So
and things like that?
so my trouble in high school was more of it was probably high school where I did like my stupid stuff, because when I went to Atlanta, Georgia, it was for theology and music. So
Okay.
I lived in a house with 4 or 5 other guys that everybody was doing the same thing. Everybody was going to school for theology, and so it was like, it was a very healthy atmosphere. It was just playing music all day. It was cool. But high school is where I did like my stupid stuff, where like I was very prideful. I had your typical high school sports career where, like I was just the captain of the soccer team. I played basketball on the team. Like, so I did, I did some stuff I wasn't proud of. I never became like an alcoholic. I never did that. I was actually the one hosting the parties.
Hmm.
But I never really got drunk because it was my house, and I didn't want like my house to be like trashed or anything like that. So I did go through that, and then I would say the big road, or like the big, before I found kind of like my calling or my purpose,
Hmm.
it was just through soccer, man. I wanted to play soccer. I was pursuing it 100%, man. It was actually I was actually quite good. I
Uh-huh.
remember I was getting a lot of college letters. And the thing is that I used to play year round. So like, you know how most high schoolers, they go through like, you play soccer or football, but then the
Hmm.
winter you play basketball, and then the spring you play baseball, and then in summer you start conditioning for like football or soccer.
Right.
I played basketball, but like simultaneously I was playing for soccer teams. So like
Hmm.
I played soccer all year round, which you get to your senior year of high school and you've played literally 4, 5, 6 seasons more than your regular soccer player in high school.
Yeah.
So that gives you, so I was getting scouted a lot. I actually got recruited for like with the crew. Someone reached out, and it was crazy because I was putting all my effort and focus into that. One time, which started this shift to everything, I received the ball, I stopped it, I passed it, and as soon as I took my first step, I just heard, just like that, man. I was like,
Hmm.
whoa. And then my foot started hurting. So I looked at the coach. I said, switch me out. He switches me out. and I took my cleat off. And when I went to get up like 15, 20 minutes later before the game was over, I just fell over. Like I had a broken foot. So 2.5 months later, I was training with the club team. And then when I recovering, I broke the same toe, but I broke it on my other foot. So first my left, then my right. And then I started to realize, okay, God, maybe there's something going on here. What are you trying to show me? Like, this is unfair. The Bible says that you give me the desires of my heart. You know, like I just like started arguing with God, right? And then again, a third time, I broke that foot again.
Wow.
So that kind of ended my career. Obviously I was still involved at church, and then someone came and said, hey, you're really good at music. You're really good at this. Why don't you try to pursue music? And then that's when I said, if God invites, he pays, and then the rest, you know it. So like, it was just like through high school. I was just like that kid that, I wanted to do dumb things. Like, and then if I give you examples of dumb things, just in case anyone's wondering, we would grab like super soakers with my friends, like the huge soaker guns, water guns.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we would go to the movie theaters, man, like in the winter when it was 20 degrees outside and people were walking out to soak people. Like we were just dumb. We were just dumb, like doing stupid things like that. So I'm not, I never really got into drugs. I actually in Colombia grew up we had a cousin that used to live at our house, and he was a drug addict. So he would work really hard, be clean, and then all of a sudden leave for like a week and then come back looking like a zombie, like a skeleton. Yeah. So I feel like that impacted me a lot. And I always said, like, well, don't do drugs from like a little young age. Like I remember I had friends that would get together and like pass the bong around. And when it got to me, I was like, nope. And one time they were even sort of aggressive that I didn't want to take the bong. So I just got up and left. Like I literally almost ran. Like I felt like hostility, and I was like, man, what am I doing here? Yeah. Got up and left. So I never really did the alcohol thing, never did the drugs thing. Like it was just like doing stupid things like that. But like my time to like focus was after I broke my foot. And then I think my problem was also that because I was such a good athlete. If you look at my yearbook, the most athletic, the best athlete in school, there's a picture of David Lamus, right? So I was like the most athletic person in my yearbook. So I was most athletic and the one with the best car. So, so it was really funny. So I was just really arrogant, really prideful. So like when I broke my foot, I was walking around with a cast, but I'm still David Lamas, Yeah. But then when it happened to the right side, and I had to be in a wheelchair for a week, and then like people tend to forget you like this. So like right now, you're like, yeah, you scored the winning goal, but like if you're in a wheelchair, nobody really looks at you. Yeah, like nobody really cares for you, and then that kind of gets you. And I'm just like, and God is like, I'm still here. Yeah. And then when the third time I broke my foot, gained like 10 pounds naturally, because as a soccer player, you run 7 to 8 miles a game. Right. When I was playing, I was a midfielder, so I would run 7 to 8 miles a game. So naturally, I was in good shape. When you're not running that much for 9 months, you lose your touch. So after 3 months, after the 9 months that the whole process took, I was already like, okay, God, do your will. It's not about me. It's about you. So I feel like that had a huge shift, which also shows you that sometimes God uses dark moments in your life to kind of bring you in the right direction. So, but that I would say between Colombia and between Atlanta, Georgia, where I went to school, just high school was kind of like it was fun, but then it was the time where I kind of got to the Damascus moment, like you said. Yeah,
sure. Now, you mentioned your father earlier. Were those your first memories of music?
Yeah, man. Well, see, I grew up in church, man. So I've been going to church ever since I can remember. So I was actually like, I remember as a like 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I would run and race my sister, who was 7 years older than me, to get the Weedle just so who's gonna play during a worship team, like during a worship at church.
Yeah.
So like I was always around music. At 11 years old, I was already playing drums like at church.
Wow.
So so yeah, I was just I can't tell you, like, that was my first exposure to music. That incident with my dad, or that episode that I told you about, like what happened,
Yeah.
was the first time I saw God like moving in a supernatural way through music.
Okay.
And that's what made me say, like, whoa, like I want to do that for the rest of my life. And then that's kind of like, that's what I've been pursuing. Obviously, I forgot about it, or like lost focus during high school and because of sports and stuff like that. But the call was always there.
Now, transition, 2010, you released your first single. So how did you go from I enjoy music to wanting to become a recording artist? And also, how would you describe your musical style?
Man, yeah, so in '08, I went to school and I started learning a lot. If you go to like a music conservatory, you kind of know what it's a lot of theory, a lot of harmony, but my program was cool because it was like I had 4 music classes and 4 theological classes. So I started doing something that, and this talks about like the genre of my music. I still do today. I write my prayers out. Like, let's say if I'm going to read a book of a chapter of the Bible, I read Mark chapter 1. I read the whole chapter and I put like interesting things that I think happened. Like, well, I can't believe John the Baptist did this. Well, I can't believe, and I write a prayer out according to what I feel like God is telling me. And then a lot of those became my songs. I would look at them later and I was like, I go back and read what I wrote. And it was like, wow, that's pretty. I wasn't intending to make it pretty. I was just, writing a prayer. And then I would, so I wrote, it's in Spanish, but it's like, it talks about how Jesus, you were my inspiration. You're the reason of my living. I breathe I breathe in and out because of you. So like I started writing my music out of that. So my genre of music, I mean, I'm very versatile. So like, like hopefully nobody listening will take this offensively, but like, like when you're at church, and you're African American or you're Black, you tend to gravitate towards the gospel side, right? And then your drummers are crazy. But then if you're on the white side of the spectrum, it's very pop, very like your progressions are like 1, 6, 4, 5, like very just straightforward in the pocket sort of music. Now us Hispanics, we have the capability of doing both and then doing the Hispanic thing. So me being Hispanic, I have a lot of influences from like the Spanish roots, your salsa, your cha-cha, your reggaeton, like all that stuff. But then at the same time, I grew up here, went to a mostly white school, so I grew up listening to like Hillsong and a lot of like the pop, Coldplay, U2, Hillsong United, Bethel Worship, Elevation sort of thing. But then when I went to school in Atlanta, all the teachers were Puerto Rican, and they were all about Israel Houghton and Fred Hammond and Kirk Franklin. So like, I feel like I have a good mixture of it all. And I love like featuring rappers. I have 2 songs that I've featured rappers before. And then in '08, in 2010 is when I released that single you mentioned. It's called Oh Jesus. And it's the single for the album, which is titled Director of the Universe. But it's in Spanish. So I need to start recording in English a little bit more. But yeah.
That's nice, man. Now also in 2021, you released Majesty. Tell us about that project.
Yeah, so it was really cool, man. It was right. It was like there was just so much racism and segregation going in the country here in the U.S. So like, unfortunately, our former president, raised all these, like all these groups started, all these hate groups started to emerge, and I thought it'd be cool to like feature a white girl and then feature a rapper. Obviously, he was Black, Well, not obviously, but he was black. He's a really cool dude. And then I thought it'd be cool to have the three races, like a white girl, a Hispanic,
Yeah.
a black dude. And then we created this really cool sound, and that's what Majesty came. And I invite people to listen to it. It's really cool. It's a really cool song. And then Jody ripped the rap apart, man. And then while he's rapping, Kelly's just like worshiping along, and I'm worshiping along, and and the mix was perfect. I mean, it's a really good song. I encourage people to hear, because it's a worship song, like what I do. I do worship congregational music,
Sure.
but I try to make it edgy, and I try to feature rappers and do different things like that, so that it's different. So
Nice, man.
yeah.
Now, right quick, you're going through ordination right now, and as far as with your church, and everything, so tell us about that. How did you see yourself? Did you ever see yourself pastoring, or how did that kind of come along?
I did, man. Ever since I was like 5 or 6, you would ask me, like, "Hey, Dave, what are you gonna do when you grow up?" You know how little kids always say, "Oh yeah, I know I'm gonna be a fireman," and like 2 months later, a police officer, and then like a year later, a football player. You asked me as a little kid what you're gonna do, and I'm a pastor. I always knew. I always
Yeah.
knew. So, like I said, I got distracted, but then, I always knew. Luckily, a lot of my credits that I took in college, like, they were accepted. So, I come and I start working for Wesleyan Church, which that's a denomination. And I had like a 2-year process, classes, this thing they call supervised ministry. And then I finally got ordained. I actually got ordained 2 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago. It was 3 weeks ago. So I'm officially Reverend David Lamus.
Okay.
I don't necessarily like when people call me Reverend. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't like the surnames, or the subtitles, like, ooh, prophet, whatever, apostle this, apostle that. I think a lot of people can misuse or abuse the title.
Sure.
So just people call me Dave, and if you call me Pastor Dave, it is what it is. But I'm
what's your vision? Like what do you want to do, as far as with the church, and also with your music?
Yeah, man. So I have, the center focus point of my message, like, is like, I've always been very loved. Like, I feel like my parents loved me a lot, very much. I went to school and I was loved by friends and teachers, and I was like, I've always been very loved. And I feel like that's something that the world lacks, and a lot of people don't feel loved. So I want to make sure our church is a church that loves people. That doesn't mean like, I find out as a pastor. See, many people want to have people want the pastor to be aware of you, but they don't want to be pastored. What does a pastor do? The pastor guides, the pastor helps. Pastor sees when you're in trouble and helps you come out of the trouble. So a lot of people want to go to the church, sit down, listen to a good word, but they don't want to be pastored. I want to be the kind of person that pastors someone through alcoholism. I want to be someone who helps people. So I feel like I'm more called to be intimate with people, meaning like one-on-ones.
Right.
And then as the church continues to grow, obviously have a bigger leadership team, be able to invest my heart into the leaders that I have around me so they can do the same.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my main focus, man. And like, that's kind of like, what does David want to, like, what's David's message? God loves you, even though you may not know it, or you may not understand it, or maybe the father figure at home was broken and messed up. So it's really hard for you to see God as a father, or a good, loving father, because you've never had one.
Yeah.
So like, I want to be able to pastor you or help you get to the point where you experience God as a loving God.
Yeah.
And that's hard for people to do. And my music, it's just all about him, man. The title of that song, like Majesty, it's just all about God.
Absolutely. Now I see you. One more question. You're working on a new album in 2023. You got coming out. how your sessions and your writing process coming along for that?
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. I mean, obviously, like right now, something that's holding me back, and it could be like, sometimes finances.
Yeah.
I mean, you do music, man,
Right.
and you understand like mixing and everything,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and and in the music video, man, like it's tough to get a music video out there and for it to be like good quality
Sure.
and
Sure.
it be like so um the way I got it, the way we do it at home, or what my wife and I kind of, the agreement we have is for me not to touch like the family money.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we bring our
Sure.
paychecks, that's
Sure.
all home. So I got to use outside sources for that
Right.
kind of stuff to happen, and
Yeah.
that's tough because I got two kiddos, and when I get home, I'm pretty much a punching bag for them.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm always playing around with them. So it's like if I'm gonna do anything like that, it's got to be from like invitations to other places, or
Mm-hmm.
Uber, or whatever, just
Sure.
to raise money for like a music video, or raise money to record another single. So I have like 6 or 7 songs recorded. I'm just kind of waiting for
Mhm.
what was it again? Sorry, someone called me, so I had to
No,
ignore
no,
it.
no problem.
So I'm just kind of waiting for God to open up the door so I can I can keep recording.
Sure.
And faith without action is nothing. So I also
Yeah.
Uber, if I have invitations to go to churches and speak, or
Yeah.
go with the band and like just receive an offering, that all goes towards music.
Yeah.
So the way I have it planned out is hopefully 2023 dropping an album. I want to do like a little Christmas thing. I've always wanted to do like a little Christmas thing. So I'm like right now working on Christmas music to release this Christmas.
Okay.
So yeah, man. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what
Nice.
happens. Yeah.
All right. I do this every program. I'm going to throw a couple of rapid fire questions at you. Just answer to the best of your capability. Who's your favorite musical artist?
Oh, geez. Michael Jackson.
Okay. You have a favorite film?
Favorite film of all time? Gladiator. I love it.
Okay. Okay. And what do you do for fun?
I box.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, 3 times a week.
Nice. Favorite TV show?
Shoot, I don't necessarily have one. My house is all nothing but cartoons, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a cartoon. I'm gonna go with Paw Patrol, unfortunately.
Okay. Favorite actor?
Oh man. Favorite actor. I like Russell Crowe.
Okay. Nice.
Well, I mean, he's old now. He's producing. He's not even acting. But back when he was acting, he's a genius. Or Leonardo DiCaprio, man. That dude is.
I love Leo. I love Leo.
Yeah, Leo's crazy. Leo's crazy.
Yeah. Favorite actress?
Favorite actress. Shoot. Jennifer Aniston. She's good at everything she does. She's done like stuff with Adam Sandler, and she's always great. And then she's done stuff like all the funny stuff she does is always great. So she's awesome.
Hot or cold?
Hot all the way.
Burgers or tacos?
Oh, burgers, 100%, man.
Okay.
Five Guys.
All right. And what motivates you?
My family.
Okay. All right, man. I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Those who want to donate to your ministry, want to buy a CD, learn more about your church, or just learn more about you, do you have a website or somewhere you can point them to link up with you?
So I mean, I've been using kind of like Instagram. I've been using Instagram kind of as a go-to place because my link there takes them to YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or so just first and last name on Instagram, David Lamus, Lamus. There's a link there if you wanted to like donate or anything like that, which would be sweet.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
David Lamus at gmail.com, like PayPal or whatever, or it's just David Lamus on Instagram. And if you don't necessarily have the funds, just come and just get to know each other. That'd be sweet. Send me a message. I always reply. So
all right, David, man, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I look forward to your upcoming project that you got coming out later on this year. And I know you're going to do great things within the community and church that you're over.
Sweet, man. Dude, I really appreciate you, man. We've known each other for a long time, and I definitely, you definitely have a special place in my prayers and my heart, bro. And
I appreciate you,
the
man.
best. I appreciate you always creating a platform for us, man.
Yeah, for
You're
sure,
awesome.
man. For sure.
Yeah, you're awesome. You keep at it, man.
All right, thanks, man. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Stage is Mine podcast. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
I want to thank everybody for their support, those of you that have been watching all of our podcasts. If you're interested in donating to the Stage is Mine podcast, you can send that 2 ways, via PayPal or Cash App. Our Cash App is Terry from the A, and our PayPal is EETV101. Support this machine today to help us continue to do what we're doing. Also, if you're interested in becoming a sponsor of the Stage is Mine podcast, email me today at EETV@yahoo.com or call 334-498-5394. Thank you very much. I want to thank you for tuning in to today's program. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell for all things pertaining to the Stage is Mine podcast. Until next time, take care. Give everything, better yet, give your all. They don't want to see you win, nevertheless, you'll evolve. Want to see my demise, you can be in for a surprise, cause the sun ain't about to set.